Welcome to the RAHIM Show. I'm your host, Rackie Allie. Stay tuned. We will be back. Welcome to the RAHIM Show. I'm your host, Rackie Allie. Stay tuned. We will be back. Good evening and good night to the people of Liberia. By this time, I think most of our people in Liberia are now sleeping. Folks, if you are joining the show, this is the RAHIM Show. I'm your host, Rackie Allie. And for a short time, I'm waiting for my guests to join this program. We are going to be talking about there is a topic on the strain transforming education in Liberia. So my special guest is going to be somebody who is a pre-K instructor. She wants to share her own perspective when it comes to the education system in Liberia. So if you're watching the podcast out there, this is the RAHIM Show. I'm your host, Rackie Allie. Hit the like button, share the podcast, and make your comment. I would highly appreciate that. If you want to be part of the show and come live, send me a message and I will be able to send you an invite. But welcome if you are tuning in. We are discussing how do we transform the education in Liberia. So much we're going to read from, and there are a lot of resources and information we're going to provide on how we can improve our education system in Liberia. And what are some of the things? If you want to call on the show, there will be a number that we share momentarily, and you can call that number and make your contribution to the show. But welcome, this is the RAHIM Show. I'm your host, Rackie Allie. Hit the like button, share the podcast, and be a part of the show. As I said, if you want to come live, send me a message, and I will invite you to come live and be able to be part of the show. Well, until then, welcome. This is a show where we discuss national issue and discuss issues that affect our society at large. So welcome to the show. So I'm going to be playing you some music in the meantime while I'm waiting for my guests. If you're tuning in, watching the show out there, this is the RAHIM Show. I'm your host, Rackie Allie. And you can hit the like button, share the podcast, and make some comment. I would highly appreciate that. I'm going to be playing you some music. Momentarily, I'm waiting for my guest to join us. If you're watching the show out there, this is the RAHIM Show. I'm your host, Rackie Allie. And we are talking about transforming education in Liberia. We want to see a better education system for our country and for our people. So that's the topic we are going to be discussing for a short time. And my guest is someone who is, let's say, a pre-K teacher, but she want to share her own perspective and experience on the issue of education in Liberia. So I'm looking forward to getting her here to be able to share her perspective. If you're watching the show, this is the Rahim Show. I'm your host, Rackie Allie. And if you want to come live, send me a message and I will send you an invite. We want to see a better Liberia, a country that we all want to see better. All right. Just give me a moment. I think my guest is here. I'm going to invite her. Okay.
Hey,
All right. All right.
I'm
All
on the
right.
Racking
Wow.
Show.
Thank you
What's
for
up?
joining the show. Thank you. Thank you. Just give me 1 second. Let me make the string and please let me do a
No, don't ask me.
okay.
Go sleep.
All right. All right.
Just
Now I got you and I, in studio like this where we can see one another, and it's good to have you on the show.
I can't hear you.
We are discussing.
I cannot
You're
hear
not
you.
hearing me? Oh, you're not
No,
hearing me? Are you hearing me?
I can't hear you at all.
Are you sure you're not hearing me?
No.
Then I think you. Uh,
Yeah, I
hold on
can't.
1 second. You can, right?
Yeah.
All
Huh?
right, because I don't know. My speakers work and everything working. So, welcome to the show. It's good to have you, my dear sister. Like you and I talked earlier before
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
starting the podcast. We like you see the topic right there on the screen. Transforming education in Liberia. So it is good to have you on the show. And I would like you're not hearing me, but what is going on today? One
You
second. Let me
pause.
fix
Your video just paused.
the video pause.
Yeah, it did. It paused right now. Okay, there you go. I can hear you now.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. I'm sorry for that and a technical problem, but welcome to the show. Let me have you introduce yourself and tell who you are so that the viewer out there, let me let our viewer know if you are watching the show. This is the Rahim Show. I'm your host, Rackie Allie, and we have a special guest. We're going to be discussing transforming education in Liberia. How do we better up the education system in Liberia to help make it more viable for our society? So let me allow my guest to take the floor and introduce herself, and then we can dive into the topic. But if you want to be a part of the conversation, I will share a number momentarily. You can call that number and share your perspective. But let me allow my guest to speak.
Hey, I'm on your show. I'm on your show. Lulu is on the show. Okay, hey everybody. I'm Lulu, by the way. I'm Louise. People call me Lulu. Well, thank you for having me on the show. I'm excited. Finally, I'm on the show. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited.
Uh,
Well, how can I say this? Liberia. I'm not really into the Liberia politics thing, but I'm excited to be on your show, and I pray that your show grow. You know, but this is what I can say about the education in Liberia. One thing we can do in Liberia, one thing they can do in Liberia as a teacher, if they want the education system to change in Liberia, it got to be the pay rate. We discussed that, right? We talk about the pay rate. First, if you want the teacher to teach in the way where you want them, I think you spoke about how I don't really know Liberia, like anything about Liberia, the school system like that. You told me how the teachers, they be getting bribed, how they got to pay the student, got to pay the teacher, all of that. I think the best way to really help the education system in Liberia is to the teacher, pay the teacher. Make sure these teachers have the qualification, the right qualification to teach. And not just that, make sure these teachers are doing it because they care, right? You have to have a caring teacher. For example, in America here, we have my teacher, for example, when we first came here, oh my God, I had an awesome teacher. When we came, everybody was like, "Oh my God, you're from Liberia. You don't speak English." My teacher was like, "Oh my God, Lulu, don't listen to them. This is what's gonna happen." She was very patient. She didn't care about, oh, because this is how much I'm getting paid. I'm not gonna do it because, she didn't really care about that. She was just so caring and wanted me to know the system of America, how everything run. She was so patient with me. She didn't care about the money. She taught me. She said, focus on your reading, focus on your school, go to school. That's what we need that in Liberia. We need a caring teacher. We need the government to pay, pay, pay the teacher the right amount of money and then hire a qualified teacher, a teacher who really knows what they're doing, not just anybody that want to come and bribe. We don't want that. You don't want a teacher who would just come and want to bribe. So that's not a caring teacher. If you want to really help a student learn, you got to teach them. You got to be willing to do it. You got to be caring. You understand? So that's one thing. That's one thing right there. Hire a qualified teacher that is caring. My teacher was very, very caring. She was patient. She said, Lulu, I'm gonna teach you. I'm gonna do it the best I can to show you the system, teach you how to read, how to how everything works. So that's what we need. And then, do you have anything to say? Do you want to
No,
add
go
on?
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Like you my guest. Go ahead. I'm
Do
listening
you
to
want to
you.
add on? Okay.
Go
So
ahead.
that's what we need. We need a teacher who is loving. Like to really have a better system. I would say we the American, right? The Liberian American that is here now. We should have a vision. We should have. Let's say we can go back to Liberia. Like for me, I'm a preschool teacher, right? I have a vision to go back home. If I want Liberia to, if they want to help Liberia system, hire people like us that's coming from America, going back to Liberia, who wants to help the country. Like have a little center, early childhood learning center. That's one way we could do that to change Liberia. Have an early childhood learning center to really change the whole system.
So, thank you for that. Let me just add on something, about
There you go. That's what I want.
those things you just mentioned, about, paying the teacher the right amount, all of those things. You know, um, I was just reading through something. I was just reading through something. So, they said most of the problem that Liberia has faced when it comes to the educational sector is the issue of under supply of teacher and learning material, and it's a high proportion of unqualified teacher. You
Mm-hmm.
talk about training. I think you did mention about training. The teacher have to be qualified, which is
Right.
it comes with training. Teacher have to be trained, and
Right.
which is a reflect. Which is reflected in the low outcome. That's what make in Liberia. You have that low outcomes of learning because why teachers are not qualified. They're unqualified, and the secondly, there is a low demand, and let's say
No.
uh,
We
on a supply of material. You're not
right.
getting me?
I can hear you, but it's so low.
Hold
Okay,
on
go
one
ahead,
second.
talk. Okay, there
Let me.
you go. There you go. There you go. There you go. Now I can
Uh,
hear you. Whatever you just did, yes. Yes.
okay, you hear me now, right? I don't know why am I having.
No, I can hear
I
you
have
now.
more time. I took more time to fix the whole technical issue, but anyway, let go ahead. You hear me well, right?
No, perfect. Perfect, perfect,
Okay,
perfect.
okay. So I mean, a lot of people say because of honor supply, and
Mm-hmm.
then training for teachers, all of the things are all outcome for which Liberia, education system that improve. But
Mm-hmm.
let me just go through something here that I was going through a statistic because when we are having this kind of discussion, it is important to give some statistical report and then
Right.
give information so that people out there who are watching the show can be able to use the information as a basis for what the discussion is all about. So if you
Right.
are joining the show, this is the Rahim Show. I'm your host, Rackie Allie, and we are discussing transforming the education in Liberia. How do we transform the education system in Liberia, want to see a better education system, and I will share my own experience as a graduate and what are some of the things that I had to go through, and some of the things that I have, I've seen, So I'm gonna share all of those perspectives as well. So
Okay.
let me read something here. Let me read something here that I was able to, It is actually the global partnership for education that
Mm-hmm.
partner with the Liberian educational sector. So this is the report that I received. This report, you can access this report from globalpartnership.org, and you click slash where we work slash Liberia. So if you are a viewer and you want to have a report of what I'm saying, go to
Info.
globalpartnership.org
Mm-hmm.
where we work Liberia,
Mm-hmm.
so that you can be able to get the information so that as I go through. Okay, so the report here talk about transforming education in Liberia, right? It
Mm-hmm.
said that the education system in Liberia faces a complex set of challenges related to geographical inequality, poverty, poor child health care, high rates of gender-based violence, constraint in national finances, and large number of unqualified teachers, like you mentioned earlier. Most of
Mm-hmm.
the teachers are unqualified because why? Because of there's a low level of training. Most of the
Right.
teachers are supposed to be well trained, and then
Right.
once they are well trained, I'll come to the issue of bravery. Most of the time, because from my experience, back home, we want to see teacher teaching, following real teacher and training principle. We don't want to
Right.
see a situation where teacher accept bribe because or fail a student because he or she want money. No, we don't want to
Right.
see that,
Right.
because at
Because
the end
that's
of the
how
day,
the system is run.
yeah, at the end of the day, because being a teacher, you want if the child doesn't learn, it is not a good reflection for you. If,
Right.
for instance, you have a composition of a 30 student in your class, your goal is that 10 students should make good grade, do well, because when they do well, it is a reflection to you. So if
Exactly.
that children doesn't do well, then you have a problem. So as a teacher, like you were mentioning, making sacrifices, you have to make sacrifices,
Right.
because what your goal is to make sure those children learn whatever services or whatever training or whatever teaching you provide. So
Right.
I will come to that, but let me just read through this because this is very important. They say poor learning, average enrollment, and many out of school children, the majority of which are girls from poor family, call for transformational change. People are calling for
Right.
this
Oh
change
my
because I
God.
want to see. I spoke to a girl today, this afternoon when I came from church. The
Mm-hmm.
girl had called me. She lived in the Balanceville area, so she saw, she just a very, brilliant, girl. She saw
Right.
that a
It's so
lot of
sad.
children, she from my former church, so she
It's so
saw a
sad.
lot of children out of school. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
children were out of school, so she felt that, but all the children are out of school. I know my siblings are all in school, but these children are out of school. So she took upon herself, say, I would come up with an initiative to help these kids. So
Exactly. That's what we
she came
need.
up, yeah, she came up with an organization where she can be able to help the kids. So she started raising money, asking people to help the kids, and which is a good idea. You don't want to see a kid, a child rather, just not in school, just passing. Let me tell you, the next child who might have the opportunity to go to school can be the next leader. So you don't know, you can determine a child future. So it is very important that when these children have better education, they are able to achieve certain things in the long run. So it is very important. But let's go along. Let's move along with some of these things that I'm reading. So the government is working with the global partnership and other partners to improve the learning in Liberia. With the focus on ensuring that kids have the best illiteracy and numeracy skill, which is very important because what
Mm-hmm.
if we have good education system in Liberia, I tell you, a lot of these things that are
All the
happening in different schools won't happen.
right.
So let me just share. Let me use this time to share my. If you are watching the show, this is the Rahim show. I'm your host, Rackie Allie, and
And I'm like
we are talking about transforming the education
on
system in
Liberia.
Liberia. I'm going
Mm-hmm.
to let me share the number now so we can have people calling and be a part of the show. So the number is on the screen call right now and share your perspective. We are talking about how can we transform the
Ideas.
education system in Liberia. And my
People can give
special guest
ideas.
is somebody who is a pre-K teacher. She was trying to share her own perspective on how the school system, should be, and what is the sacrifices the teacher should, be able to make to
Right.
help our kids. Because you need a qualified teacher, and not just having a qualified teacher, but you also need to pay the qualified teacher so that they can be able to accept the bribe or get involved into these kind of illicit practices. So
Right.
if you're joining the show, this is the Rahim Show. Call that number. And I'm looking forward to my first caller. We are discussing transforming the education system in Liberia. So, like
Right.
I said, let me share my own experience, right? When I started college, you know, uh,
Don't make it too
yeah,
long. Yeah.
like unlike let's say Liberia, in the US here, they have
Mhm.
three ways that you can learn. You can
Mhm.
either learn both online on campus. You can have a hybrid way of learning, or you can do 100% online, or
Mhm.
you can do in person. There are
Mhm.
three different ways of learning. So yeah, most of the professors that I know from my own experience, like
Mhm.
when I had some of the classes and I had challenges in some of the classes, the professor will try as much. That's why even before the start of the course, the
Mhm.
professor is sharing his email and phone number. That if you
Right.
find things difficult with my course, relate to me, because this is a society where people can have family and they are still going to school. People can
Right.
have challenges, and still go to school.
They
So,
also offer you tutors.
call me if you are finding difficulty with there were one or two times that I have, some issue with some of the courses that I was doing, you know.
Right.
But then
Right.
there is the thing. If the professor give you an assignment, I'm
Mhm.
just sharing my own experience here. When the
Mhm.
professor give you an assignment, that
Mhm.
assignment, if you don't make the real grade, because the grade that he can put and post for you is 80%. If you don't make the 80%, he can give you another second chance to redo. They have a
Right.
redo.
Right.
Because the goal of the professor is like that you and I are saying, right? If you have passion for learning and if
You
you
have
want to
to.
make that sacrifice, your
Right.
goal is to make
Right.
sure the students are able to learn what you are, teaching them. Because
Right.
if they learn, it become a good thing for you. Because why? That
Exactly. It could be.
reflect
It
that
could be
reflect
another
on your
change.
your,
It could
your
be a
ability to
change.
help the student. So you
Right.
see, so the professor most of the time, like for instance, one of my course when I was doing my let's say my college course, one of my course, there was a very important assignment, that constitute 50% of the entire course. I
Mhm.
did that course and I had 70.
Right.
But then the professor told me, said 70, I can't grade you 70. I know you have 70. There were a lot of things in your writing you have to redo.
Because
And the
she
man gave
knew
it to
you. He
me.
knew you could
And
do
I
better.
have to go, and take my time, you know. And he was able to give me some clue. Not like
Right.
he's showing me the answer, but you're able to give me some clue. You can go and do this writing. You can go and study from this. Help to build up your writing, because the goal is to
Right.
make sure that you pass the course. You
He knew
cannot
you
go to
could do
school and
better. He
pay
knew you could do
and
better.
pay, especially for those who go to private school in Liberia, and pay almost 10, 15 to $20,000 just for let's say not even 15 or 20,000, but almost 50,000 just for a semester. And then at the end of the day, you go and fail that course. You know,
Right.
you don't want to have that situation. So the
Right.
professor, because he is well paid, and his goal is to make sure that the student who is under him achieves something, like you and I are saying, make that sacrifice. If you are
Right.
joining the show, this is a Rahim show. We are talking about transforming the educational system in Liberia. How do we transform the education system in Liberia? Call
Right.
that number and be part of the show so that we can have a fruitful discussion. And my guest in studio is Little Lul, and she's just shared her perspective. She's let's say kindergarten pre-K instructor. She just shared her perspective. So call that number. Let be part of this and come live so we can be able to have a fruitful discussion on the show. We are talking about transforming the education system in Liberia.
Right. Right.
So you see, like I was saying, so I had a difficulty, and the professor was able to tell me, say 70. It is not it's not my the grade that I want for the particular course. So you
Right.
have to redo. Her goal was to help me
Right.
make sure that I
He
achieve,
was
because
patient.
it's
He
not
was
about,
patient.
especially when it comes to writing, when it comes to most of the things that you have to write. We are intensive writing where you have to
Hmm.
put, we are writing together. You know, he wants you to learn something, because the goal here is if you achieve something, you know, he feel happy.
Right.
So see, so that's how that's the kind of thing we want to see in Liberia. We are not saying
Right.
Liberia should be the America. No,
Right.
Liberia can be the America, but
But
Liberia can emulate
even
Liberia can emulate the quality, of
right.
education
But
that is in other countries.
we were,
Yeah. So
we
go
were.
ahead, go ahead. I guess you want to say something. You want to ask something. So go ahead.
I
So
mean, even
call the number,
here.
and be part of the show. This is the Rahim Show. We have a number on the screen. If you want to share your perspective, if you want to be part of the conversation, call that number, and we'll be happy to have our first caller come and share. We are talking about how do transforming the education system in Liberia. What are some of the things we need to do in Liberia to get our education system, in tight, so that we can avoid teacher, making subject very high because he's underpaid and he want to accept bribery. We want to get rid of all of the things, because these are paid for in society that can lead to people not learning the right things they want to learn. We don't want somebody to graduate from college and they cannot defend that degree that they have. So join the show and be a part,
Right.
of the show. This is the Rahim Show. We are just discussing issues that confront our society, issue that confront Liberia, so that we can see a well-managed Liberian learning system. So I got my guest in studio. She want to say something. Go ahead.
I mean, even here in America, right? The teachers here are not getting paid what they're supposed to be, getting paid. But being that they are so caring and they want to help the kids here, so they're doing all they can do. They're doing their best. They're teachers. So Liberian system, I don't really know how the system run back there. I really don't know, but we just need, as Liberians, we just need to support our school system there. Like I said, the teachers need to be paid according to what qualities, the qualification they have. You understand? Let's say you go to school, you get your degree, you got your degree in teaching, teach, teach the right way. Stop taking money from these children. Okay. And then two, the kids in Liberia too, there's so many, like you said, the poverty back there is very bad. So we just need an organization, organization where the system, they had a system set up to where get these kids off the street, get them off the street, put them in a place where they can be able to go to school and learn. And then most of the kids probably not even, they're not focused on learning because they're hungry. You can't have a kid hungry and then going to school. And then the system, like I said, I don't know how the system run. It just finding the right teacher, the right people who's willing to help, because everybody different. Everybody different. America is different. Liberia is different. Everywhere is different. Just finding the right people who's willing to say, you know what, I'm gonna do this. I really want to teach. I want to help these kids. I'm not gonna take money from them. That's what we need. A good person, a caring person. Like I don't know how the system runs. So you tell me how you guys been to Liberia. I've never been there. You said teachers are being robbed, that the government is not
No, no,
paying.
no.
And then
My point was, when you mentioned about teacher, being underpaid,
right.
because they are not qualified. So
Mhm.
a lot of time, this is not to say anything about our teachers in Liberia. They're doing an amazing work, but this
Exactly.
is something that we want to see Liberian education system, become better. So I'm saying that from my own experience,
Mhm.
I noticed that a lot of time, because when teachers are underpaid, so bribery has been one of the issues that is
Well, change. They should
you know
change that.
so
If you
this
find out a teacher is doing that, fire them. Get them out of there.
yeah,
Hire
that's why you
somebody. Hire
let
somebody who's qualified to do that, who is caring to do that. And then, like I said, let's say, for me, if I would like to go back one day, I would like to go back. That's my goal. I would like to go back and become a teacher. So, being that that's what I want to do, I'm caring. I will go back and teach, get all these little kids off the street, find a little organization to where I can help. I don't have to wait for the government. If the government don't want to do it, if they don't want to hire people who can really help the school system in Liberia, people like us, like people who are caring, who's been in the States, who have the degree, who have that heart, that caring heart. to go back home to help. You can go there, do you know, create your own, build your own school. Look at Oprah. Oprah did it. You know, she did it in what, South Africa. I mean, go help. Basically, find a way you can help the school system. If the school is not, if the government is not doing it, don't wait for the government to do it. If the government is not doing it, try to see, how you can help. Basically, that's all I can say.
Yeah.
That's,
Let me just add something, right?
go
If you
ahead.
look at the way you can improve the education system in Liberia, right? The first thing, one of the things I admire, in your statement was system.
Yeah.
Once
Mhm.
there is no system in place, you will
Right.
have all these things, coming into play. But
Right.
once you have a system in Liberia, then that system, it has to be controlled by a better administration. Like for instance,
Exactly.
every school
Exactly.
has an administration. Every school has an administration. Once that administration has a system in place, right, where teachers who are teaching are able to, receive their salary on time and they are well paid, and then if for some reason somebody go against that particular system, like you said, you get fired. Because
Right.
obviously when you do wrong, there is a penalty for doing wrong. If you don't teach the way you've been paid to teach as a qualified teacher, and if these trainings are in place to teach the instructor well and make sure that they are doing the necessary thing, I mean, you won't have anybody, accepting bribe when they are well paid and they are paid on time. Because if you do that, obviously they're gonna, you're gonna bear the necessary retribution that comes. So system is very important. If we have system in place, but also the school need to have a partnership with the government, because most of the time, like for instance, the
So
government
they
will
don't
have.
they don't have that now. They don't have that now.
I'm not saying I'm not in Liberia, so I don't want. We are only discussing how do we, transform the education system. Because from my experience, I've seen a lot of
Hmm.
things that go on in school, and at the end of the day, young people don't really get the real material, the knowledge that they need from high school. Imagine somebody graduate from high school. There are some other smart people. There are other people who still a license and make their grades in Liberia, and I want to applaud them for that. But I'm just saying, because of these things that I listed earlier, right? People are saying, okay, let me go to some of the reason why more people are saying that the education system, is not the way we expect the education system to be in Liberia. They are saying that due to honor supply, like they don't have the requisite material, to the disposal to teach these children. So because of that, and then also teachers are not having training. Like for instance, you need training. You need a trained teacher, because there should be
Right.
a way to train teacher. Because if teachers are not trained, they won't know the right. They won't know the right from wrong, and they won't know all of these things. How they need to be patient with like some of the experience you had when you
Right.
started earlier. You said that you had a teacher who, because of your language barrier, she will be
She was
patient with you
very
because,
patient.
yeah,
So
all the children were
right.
speaking like slangs and so. But yes, she was patient with you because she felt that, oh yeah, you just came from Liberia, you had a passion to learn. She was patient with you. So
Right.
all of the things are all a quality of a teacher, because if the teacher is well paid and he or she have a passion to help students, obviously you will have a good learning environment. So that's
Right.
what we are saying. So they were saying that these problems are the problem, Liberian teacher find themselves. They say honor,
Right.
honor supply, of
Well, we
teaching,
just need. Right.
teaching or learning material. They say, let's say, high proportion of unqualified, teacher. We're not having the training to make them qualify. Somebody could just say, because I know chemistry and math, and they just go and apply for a teacher job, at a school and start teaching. So we
Hmm.
don't want to see things that we want to see as a real unique training system that make teachers to be qualified before they are able to teach these schools. Because why? We want to avoid the issue of bribery, because bribery can cause the student not to learn the actual things for which they pay the school fees. So
Right.
yeah, I'm listening to you, but let me let my viewer know, if you're watching the show, this is the Rahim Show. We are discussing transforming the education system in Liberia. There is a
Right.
number on the screen. Call that number. Be a part of the show. I see a lot of guys making comment. I see a lot of guys sharing the comment, share the
Right.
podcast, like, and also I will appreciate if you want to call and make and share your perspective. I will highly appreciate. But I have my special guest. Go ahead. I'm listening to you,
Right,
Lou.
right. So the thing is, we can always depend on the government to help, you know? Like I said, if we have a lot of Liberian who's willing to go back home to help, we can have like me and you, we can put together and go and open our own school. We don't need we don't need the government. We can try to do it. We can try to build, Liberia's school system without the government help. That's one thing we can do. Because if we keep depending on how can we change it? How can the government do this? Can the government is not always gonna do everything. The government is not always going to do everything. If we can come up with different organization, different department, then we can help change the school system. Basically that's what I can say. You understand?
Yeah.
Because here here in America, there's so many organizations, there's so many things going on. They got so many different departments of where when America system is not doing it, you go somewhere to where you can get that assistance, you can get that learning. You can go to so many different things. That's basically what needs to happen. That's
So
basically what needs to
I
happen in
think
Liberia.
one of the thing we can do, and it's also part of the report, yeah, that I read earlier,
Mhm.
is the skillings of support. You know,
Right,
if you look
right.
at Liberia, today, I think there are 487
Mm-hmm.
schools across the whole Liberia, the whole 15 and 16 county or so. There are
Mm-hmm.
487, if I'm not making mistake,
Right, right.
schools across Liberia.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to skill, the support for the, for different school, because you want to have in place, like you and I are in America, right? Most of the time you see, if you register for a course,
Mm-hmm.
obviously that course have a reading material, because
Right,
the goal here
right,
is to help you understand the course, and then the material are available so that you can be able to, they
right.
give you the opportunity so that you can read even ahead of the teacher. Most of the time, even me, we who've been at university, right? The
Mm-hmm.
teacher, like for instance, if we register for the course 1 week before the course time, like if you are doing it online,
Mm-hmm.
we don't have that in Liberia. But I'm just saying, in the long run, if we have a good education system, we can, we want to emulate good things. So it is a
Right,
good thing
right,
if we, are able to do that. But
right.
yeah, what I'm trying to say something, I'm trying to say that
Mm-hmm.
if if for any reason these school, these 800 and let's say 487 schools across the entire like Liberia, if they have this a system in place that
Mm-hmm.
create a qualified teacher before they can even go to the classroom, and also have these material, readable material for every a school system, and they have public library, they create, the government,
Right,
they
right,
try
right,
even
right,
a
right.
public library where people can go and see current material and read. All of these things will help, to make our school, a better, and make our country education system improve. If you are joining the show, this is a Rahi show. There is a number on the screen. Call that number. We are discussing
The
how do
number,
we
call the
transfer,
number. Mhm. Yes,
how do we
call
transform
that
the
number.
education system in
Right.
Liberia. And my special guest, and Lil Lu, and she's here with me sharing her perspective
Yes.
as as a pre-K instructor. She have said a lot, and we are here waiting for the first caller to make the call. We want to see a better education system in Liberia.
Four four
So be a
three
part of the show. Hit that
five
like button, share the
three
podcast,
eight
and
seven six
yeah, go ahead, Lou.
20. Yeah, like you said, there's so many ways we can do that. Like we can have a parade. They can have a parade. They can fight for that. Go to the government. Go to the president. Go to the governor. Say, listen,
Okay,
we need
I
it.
got my first caller. I got my first caller.
Go ahead.
What's
Go
your caller?
ahead.
Let's see.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Hello. Oh,
Hmm? Go ahead.
somebody was calling. No, go ahead, go ahead. He hang up.
Yeah, we can have a parade. We can have you can fight for that to have a good system in Liberia. Have a parade. Go to the president. Tell him. Say, listen, we need a good. We need a good system. We need a good school. We need these children to get off the street. So we need them to stay in school. So where we need a good. We need to build a good foundation. So they basically put it behind the president. Put it behind the president. We need people to come together, fight for education. That's what we need. If we can have a group of people who can, put hands together to fight for that, we can get that. To get the
Yeah.
kids off the street, to get, for people to get the
And
right training.
like you and I, yeah, like you and I are saying, right? We need what we call sustainable partnership with the government,
Exactly.
because you see, once that most you see a lot of the school, right, are public school, right? Even though
Right,
people have a private school or so, but
right.
when you partner with the government, because the whole idea about the education system, through the Ministry of Education, we want to see a better education,
Yeah.
system for our people,
We
and we
just
don't
need the
want to
right
see. We
people.
want to see. We also want to see the issue of you know, teacher being well trained, have everything to their disposal so that they can be able to teach well. And then these teachers should have the passion to be able to deliver,
Right.
the requisite, material that is available for students to learn. So these are changes we want to see. And we also want to see comprehensive training. Like, quarterly, there should be a training to reevaluate the teacher, ability from the classroom perspective to see whether they are really delivering whatever,
Exactly. We need
all those
a
things.
new
You see,
leaders.
we
Pick
do
the
that in
right
the US.
people. Once
Yeah,
you pick the
go
right
ahead.
people, all of these things will not happen. Pick the right people to become a leader. Pick the leader should be the right people to come up, train, get a right, find a right training school to where these teachers can go to school, have a passion for it.
Yep,
Everything comes from being a good leader. Once you're a
yep,
good leader, everything falls in place. So
yep,
that's all I can say. You just need the right leader to do what you're supposed to do for us to have a good education in Liberia. That's all I can
yep,
say. You
yep.
know?
That's true.
So
That's true.
we
That's true.
can't go
The
anywhere
leader,
further.
the,
You just have put down or put like you said, find people who want to teach. Find the right people who want to teach, who are caring to do it, no matter what that the pay or whatever it is. Just find the right people because in America here, they're not getting paid. The money that the teacher's supposed to be getting paid here, they are not getting paid, but they still do it because they want to do it. You understand? So that's basically what needs to be done. Just get the right people to put the right people in place. You know, get
so
the right people.
Lou, let me ask this question. Somebody just text me. I don't know,
Mhm.
but I guess they are saying the number, but they just wanted to text me. So they are asking, like for instance, we have computer. Okay, somebody's calling. Let me answer the call.
We need more people. If you have questions, come on the show,
Hold
talk
on
about
one
it.
second. Hello. What is your name and where are you calling from, please?
Yeah, hi, my name is Linda. I'm calling from Columbia, Maryland.
Welcome, Linda.
Yeah,
Thank you for joining the show. Yeah. I think you've been watching the show. We are talking about how do we transform the education system in Liberia, and I would like for you to, share your perspective.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. I listened to the show this evening. My little one or two cents is that first of all, before you apply for a job, you will
Mhm.
first know you have a passion for that job. So being a teacher, you should first of all have a passion for your job. That means you have a passion for teaching.
That's
This
right.
way, you will not want to accept bribes from people. Like in Liberia now, you can sit in your house. People can just sit in your house and just pay. And at the end of the day, they will get good grades. But because you don't have money to pay teachers or bribe, you won't get good grades. I don't care if you study. I know a girl who I call my play daughter in Liberia. This is real life thing I'm telling you. She said one time they were taking tests and she was studying and she made a good grade. And her friend told her, "You're just wasting your time, oh. Because if you get a man something, you won't go anywhere find it. So don't even waste your time. These things need to be eliminated from the system. We need to have people, we need to have teachers that have, the passion for teaching, and they are well educated and, know what they are doing, to be able to help people who don't know, what to do, to be able to teach, to be able, to do the right thing. That way, if you pay your teachers real good, the teacher will not even want to accept bribe from you. And if you go to school, like here in the States, I was going there, some certain things you don't understand, they have a place they call the learning center. They just got people there waiting to help you. Yeah. If you don't understand something in the class, you will go to that learning center and ask, oh, this is why I don't understand. Can you help me? They will show you, give you books, give you all the materials, how to work, and just to make that passing for that class. They will make sure you pass that class, because you will have all the opportunity there and books and things to help yourself and do things. We need that system in Liberia. When we have a place that we call a learning center, we have people extra from the teacher in the classroom go there after school and get help. Teach us. Teacher, what we didn't understand in the class, until we get it, then yes. So all those systems need to be put in place. We ourselves need to help out the government to do these things. But we just sit down and look at the government. Oh no, the government is he's already there, now let him go ahead and do this.
Right.
We're always going back. We look at things the other way. Why is it on the other side? We're looking at the other side. So we all need to put hands together in the learning process in Liberia, in teaching other children and teaching people who don't know what to know. You have to teach them. And in America, if you don't know something, you ask somebody, oh, this is them. They tell you, come back, and you forget it. Ask them again. They will still help you. Say, oh, do it this, we'll do it that. But in Liberia, trust me, if you just make one mistake and ask, they will get mad at you. Oh, you got this thing, I tell you again, you won't come back to me. I said, no. We need to be patient. Patient means you have the passion to do something. So if you are a teacher, you need to love what you do and do it the right way. That way we can eliminate all these funny things and, bribery and all that for the school system in Liberia. That's my little 2 cents.
Oh, thank you very much for sharing your perspective.
That's all we need. We just need a better leaders, people who's
Yeah,
willing to
I
do
think
it.
she made so many good points. Like she mentioned about the learning center, right? Even
Right,
if you are doing course online, right? They
right,
also have that indicated on the online platform that you can go to a learning center, because, take for instance, there are people who are not really good at writing, and maybe the course require that you do intensive writing. And if
right,
you are making a mistake with some of your subject verb agreement, they send you to that learning center so that they can help you. That is a good and a brilliant point she just tried. And one of the things she made mention of, right, is the issue of what, let's say, she, one of the things I would say, right,
mm.
is she used a success story, right, about in
Oh,
Liberia.
fine. Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's good to borrow somebody's success story, and bring it to the picture so that you can be able to solve the problem. Because you see, let me look at something and tell you, that she mentioned, right? She mentioned something about, if the system right now, the way it looks like right now, if you don't have that money. For instance, she used one of her, friend or sister or so, and she said, if you don't have that money, as much as you can make your grade or whatever, you will not
Mm-hmm.
get that big grade that you want, because the teacher had deliberately decided that because he doesn't get paid on time, so this is what he's going to do in order to pass the student. And we don't want to see that happening in Liberia. We are not
Right.
trying to pick out any instructor if you are watching the podcast. We're just saying we want to see the right thing. And then what I wanted to say was the issue about passion she mentioned. If there is a job given to you, or there is a vacancy out there, that vacancy tell you that if you are specializing something for which that vacancy is about, it means that you might have a passion to do that job.
Of
Like for
course.
instance, if you are a teacher, like you are a kindergarten teacher, right? And because you know how to deal with the children and you have passion for taking care of children, that's why you are doing your best to make sure these kids are, receive whatever knowledge, because you have gone through training. You
Right.
see, that training now you trying to make the children become successful. So
Right.
that's, I really enjoy her point, but I would like for you to share something too about what she said.
I mean, she's right. She's right. Once you have, the thing is, like I said, once you have the system place in place, all of that will fall in place. If you have the right teachers, the right teacher can go ahead by doing that. But if you have teacher who's not caring, they won't do that. You just gotta have the right teacher to do that. And I agree with Linda. I agree with her very much. I wanna say something. I remember back in the day, right? I remember in the 80s. I think we talked about this before. In the 80s, when for I've never been to Moraville, but Yekepa, oh my God. I remember when I was young, the school system back then was so awesome. When I was back home, oh my God, you go when we go to school, there's books everywhere. You read, everything was just set up so nicely because we had a good president. That was in the 80s. We talked about this before. It was in the 80s. In the 80s, I think you said Doe was a president, right? You remember? Can you hear me? I can't hear you.
I'm hearing you. I'm hearing
Okay,
you.
okay,
You
there you
just
go.
got on me.
Right, right. When the system, when we, if we have a good president, everything will run smooth. A president who have the right sense, everything will run smoothly. Because I remember when I was a little girl, oh my God, I used to be so excited to go to school because everything was in place. Everything needs to be in place, then we can have the right teacher, the right training for people to go to school, for a teacher to go to school to train to become a teacher, to teach the children the right way. Basically, that's all we need. That is all we need. So that's all really we can really talk about. Once we have the right system put in place and the right training for everybody, for the teachers to learn how to, train to become a good sister and a caring teacher, we can everything will be good in Liberia. Everything will be good in Liberia. That's all I
Yeah,
can say. That's my little info.
yeah. I mean, and
I
that is
can
the
really.
reason. That is the reason why we want to see these, different training, that will help our instructor, so that, I mean, they can be able to do the right thing, because you don't want to see,
Mm,
a parent, like, you don't want to see parent paying the children's school fee, obviously, and then you find them, being, you know, uh, threatening, because they have to pay certain money to be able to make certain grade, and then the
right,
requisite material that was intended for the grade, for that particular subject, uh they don't really get. You don't want people to graduate that they can defend what they have learned over
mm,
that semester or so. You don't want people to graduate, and or pass a course where they can achieve something. No, in
right,
America, yeah, I tell you, like I, explained earlier, the professor goal is to make sure that you learn his material. If you
right,
don't learn his
right.
material, he's not still certified, because that is a passion. He find himself in
Let
a place
let
where, he,
let the president try
yeah,
to step up
yeah,
the
go
way
ahead,
he's
go ahead.
supposed to do, and
Yeah,
then try to get the kids off the street. Try to find a place. Try to find a home. Find something where the kids will be off the street with stop begging for food. This is what I heard a lot of people that go back home, they like, oh my God, when I go back home the kids are starving, they're on the street. Get these kids, there's so many smart kids in Liberia. You can put these, find a little build a little education school to where they can go and start learning. Find a shelter. First, come up with a shelter. Have a home for them to be able to go to school. And then the teachers, not all teachers have it in back in Liberia. Like I can say, not all of the teachers have it. Some of these teachers probably starving, so that's the reason why they're bribing these kids for money. So you don't know. There's so many things that need to be put in place when it comes to making the school system better. Some teacher, they probably qualified, but they have kids at home they have to feed. So they too, oh, I gotta feed my kids. I gotta do this for my kids. So what it would do? Take money from the children. So find a place where everybody can benefit. The teachers, the student, everybody, not just the school system. Help the teacher. Teachers too also need help. Not just the school system need to pay them this pay. help the teachers too. Find out, okay, why is it you're getting money from the kids? What can we do to, there's so many things, like I said, there's so many things that we can do as Liberian to help the school system in Liberia. For me, like I said, I want to go back home and do what I can to help. So that's one thing I will do. I will go there, find out, how find a school who that needs to be, to be changed, that needs to be, upgrade to help build Liberia. Find a school where you can say, okay, what do the teachers need? Get it, have a meeting. Call all these teachers. How can we help change the system? Find out what's going on in Liberia. For me, that's what I would do because I don't know the country like that. I was little, so what I would do, I would go back home and find out what their needs. Find out what the teachers needs. Then the teacher will tell you, okay, this is what we need. This is what we can do to help the country. All of that. I can't just sit here and say, oh, this should happen. We as a Liberian just need to join together, and just help the country. That's basically what we can do. That's all we can do because I want to go home one day. I want to take my kids home and be like, listen, we gotta go. We gotta go to Liberia. You know how everybody else be going to Nigeria, be like, oh, Nigeria's so far. They be going to Ghana, be like, oh, Ghana this, Ghana that. Oh, my children gonna be. We need that. We need to be excited about fixing our country, doing so many things, and start waiting for the system to be changed, or the president needs to change that the Liberian citizen that is in America, anywhere else, go put together, call your friend. Instead of calling Linda and say, oh, you see that one there, what she wearing? You should we can make the school system better. We can change it ourselves. We can go and fight for it. We can help. We can do that. We don't have to wait for the government to do it. So that's basically, that's basically all I can say. Just
Let me read a report here that I'm having my hand on about, the
mhm,
vetting reform, for some of the instructors that the Ministry of Education has to, uh, use certain vetting process. So
mhm,
on the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf government, during her second term, right, the
mhm.
Liberian government embarked on ambiguous, education transformation program.
Is that what you about to read? Is it
No,
in the system now?
no,
Is it
no.
what's
It
still
was doing.
going
I'm
on?
just trying to give you some background, of the some of the things. Like for instance, when the leader come to power,
Hmm.
they want to do a lot. Doing Ellen Johnson Sirleaf second term. This is just a report that I'm reading
But
in the
but we
report.
want to talk about what is going on now, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I know you want to talk about, well, what we want to see happen in Liberia, because we don't want to see, like the caller mentioned, we want to see a teacher having passion for education. We want to
Hmm.
see a teacher being trained, well
Hmm.
trained. We want
Hmm.
to see like the training center, like she mentioned, the
Hmm.
issue of training center where if somebody's finding it difficult in the academic, sojourn, and they can be able to go to that training center, and they can be able to help them with some of the things, that they are finding, difficult way. So many things, but I'm just trying to tell you uh, some of the things that were put in place by the previous government, trying to make sure that, a vetting system where they want to, uh, uh, let's say they wanted to make sure that 18,000 teacher, was vetted, and then over 200,000, let's say over 2,000 individual has been, removed from payroll because why? They were being, they were caught in the issue of, bribery because they were not doing
Driving.
the right thing. So we don't want similar thing to happen all the time in our school system. We want to see a vibrant school system where people, you know, are able to do the right thing.
So they
The,
just
the
cut
first thing,
them. They just cut
people
them
might
like
have
that.
passion. People might have passion for what they want to do. If you're a teacher, if you don't
Hmm.
have passion for being a teacher or for doing what you want to do, then don't be a teacher, because your goal is to make sure whatever you teach,
Right.
the student that are honor you to learn are able to learn properly. so that when they
Mm.
leave that school, they can be able to boast of what they have learned. That's the main goal. And if you are joining the show, we are
Mm.
discussing
The teacher they were hungry.
transforming
They're
liberal
taking
education
money from the
system, and
children.
I have my special guest,
They don't need to
new
be
in the
cutting
studio
people if you
today,
don't
Ruth
find out.
Smith, and she's a let's say pre-K instructor. She shared her perspective.
A
We have a very
daycare pre-K
good
preschool teacher.
caller who made her point. So if you want to be part of the show, call that number, and share your perspective. We are discussing the education system. We want to see a better education system. From experience, people have said that most time, some things, some instructor deliberately fail a student because they want to accept bribe, and some of the things are all alluded to because teachers are not well trained and they're not receiving, let's say, good salary. So we want to, see our society
The
better
teachers
underneath
have their own
progressive
issues.
government.
So all of that fall in place too. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So join the discussion tonight. Call that number and let us have a fruitful discussion. We are discussing. This is the Rahim Show. I'm your host, Rackie Allie. Call the number and be part of the show.
So
So
so I have a question. So
yeah,
you
go ahead.
said those teachers got cut, they got fired because they were bribing, right?
Yeah, there was a
So
vetting
so
process.
oh.
There was a vetting process. Like for instance, you know, like you and I are discussing, right? This is
Mhm.
not something to spark any teacher. If you are a teacher, you are doing an amazing job.
No, no, no,
But
no, no, no.
remember, as a
There should be
teacher,
a reason. So they
yeah,
cut them because of what? Did they find
yeah,
out why?
yeah, it is, like rivalry and all the things that that are not within the policies of being a teacher. So it's just that in America, yeah, right. If a
Hmm.
professor, for some reason, told me, say, okay,
Hmm.
Ricky, give me $500, I will pass you, and I report that professor, and I'm able to provide an email to authenticate my report to that professor. That professor will go through you know, some behind the horse, meeting, like behind door meeting, where they will
Right,
meet him. And then
with the
at the end,
principal,
yeah, at the
with
end
the
of the day,
principal, everything.
at the end of the day, who know that professor could get dismissed or could get fired, or so. So that's what the vetting process was. The vetting process was to make sure that most of the teachers are able to do the right thing. Because if you're not doing the right thing, obviously you will not have a good society, and people will not be able to learn. So that's the goal here is like we discussed in the particular transforming our education system. The goal here is to make sure that our people out there, when they are honor an instructor, that instructor is providing the necessary, things to make sure our people learn. So that's
Right.
what we are, discussing. If you are joining the show, this is the Rahim Show, and I'm your host, Rackie Allie. I have my studio guest, Smith. She here with me tonight, and
That's
she's
it.
sharing her own perspective
That's
on the
it. That's
topic. So
it.
call
That's
that
it
number.
right there.
Yeah, call that number so that
That's
we can
it
have
right
a
there.
discussion. Yeah, you want to
Yeah.
say something?
Mr.
Go
Rahim.
ahead.
Yeah. So you said that those teachers got cut off, right? But did they ask before firing the teacher? They ask them, say, listen, why are you taking money from the people door? Why? That the teacher give you, you can just cut them. In America, yeah, before they fire you, they find out they give you three chances, right? First, for the first time, they will find out how long you've been doing this. Why were you doing it? You can just cut, like I said, this is Liberia we're talking about, and everybody over there, most of the teachers too, they gapping. Most of the teachers they're gapping. So they're going taking children money because they have their own little issues. So before there's the system like I said, if the system is in the right, if you have a right system, right, you can have a good teacher who is qualified for who is qualified but can't pay her bills. She has all the qualification, but mind you, that teacher just starving. So yeah, the teacher will come and say, listen, you want me pass you? You gotta give me small thing on the side. So you can just fire the teachers because the teacher, taking money. You gotta find out too. Everybody have their own little personal thing to going through. So that's one thing you can do as a principal or whoever you are. That's one thing you need to do. You can just fire
So,
people because you fire
you
them,
know,
you
you know,
taking away a good teacher.
we as we
Because
talk about
Liberians
these
don't have no common sense.
as we
Mm-hmm,
talk about these changes,
mm-hmm.
and these reform to help our
That's one of the
country
mm-hmm.
education system, I would like to point out that I agree with you that the teachers too, most of them are underpaid,
Yeah,
and like
on
we
the pay,
said,
so
most
they
of the
need
teachers
money. They're gonna
they
do
need
things
training,
out of
they
the
need
way.
training,
Mm-hmm.
training that will enhance the ability to do well. All of those things have to fall in place. So that's what we are saying. It is a huge challenge,
It's
but we
so many.
believe that the right thing can be done because we want to
Yes,
see a good education system where somebody can graduate from high school, they are able to do well, they are able
we
to
need
do well.
support.
There are a lot of
Mhm.
time people graduate from high school, and when they get into college, even college as a whole, people graduate from college, and at the end of the day, I mean, the purpose of going to college is to really learn a lot of things so that you can be
Right,
able
you
to
should
get
already have all the
it is a
qualities
it, I mean, knowledge
and
is very
skills.
important.
Right.
I want to tell people out there, knowledge is very important. So, and we are not having this show to pick on any things. We are just saying we want the right thing to be done in Liberia so that our education system can be a better education system
If you have
for
an
not
idea,
just
come on the show.
people who go to private school, but even people who cannot afford to go to the public school. So we want to see a better Liberia through and transform a transformative education system. So
Right.
if you're joining the show, this is a Rahim show.
Right here,
I'm
you
your
know,
host, Rackie Ali. Call that number and be part of the show. Share your perspective. We are discussing how do we transform the education system in Liberia. Go
right
ahead.
here. You see, you've been to school here. You got your master degree already, right? You have your master already, right?
Not yet, not yet,
Not
not yet.
yet.
I just got
But
my
you
second
see,
degree, but yeah,
this is what you can do.
I'm
You
doing
can
it now. Yeah,
you doing it now?
yeah.
That's one thing you can do. Find a group. Find people who can say, let's go change. My man, let's join this. Let's put together. Let's go change Liberia. That's some of the things that we can do as Liberian. We can go back home. We don't have to take your idea. I don't know, like I said, take your idea back home. You have the idea to do it, take it back home. You know? That's if you let's say you start school, you start the middle school, you start kindergarten, middle school, and you want to go to college. But because you don't have the
But
funding, you don't have the money.
there is a thing, though, right? There is a
Hmm.
thing. Not because I have a master degree
Hmm.
that qualify me for a teaching. No,
No, no,
they
no.
have a
Not,
they
not that's
have
not what
they
I'm
have
not
a
saying
teacher
that now.
training.
You can
They
take your
have a
idea,
yeah, yeah.
whatever
I know,
idea you have, you
I
take
know.
it.
But
So
you see,
whoever.
yeah, these are some of the things sometimes
Hmm.
that like because of our system, right? Because
Hmm.
the actual system we expect to be employed in Liberia, it is not there. So at the end of the day, sometimes people compromise things or so. So you
Right,
see somebody who because they are an accountant, right? They
right.
know accounting well, and because they can go to the university and do some tutorial, help some people. So obviously that person don't go for like say teacher training to get well trained and know how to manage classroom, because classroom activity is one thing, is a classroom teaching is an environment by itself. You have
Hmm.
to teach in an environment like that, and you got to get trained rather and know how to teach well in an environment like that before you get teaching joy. And secondly, like the caller may mention, right? You
Hmm.
have to have passion. If you want to be a teacher, you
Hmm.
have passion for what you want to do because your goal is what is your goal if you want to be a teacher? What is the purpose of you wanting to be a teacher? That ask yourself that question. So once you know your purpose of teaching and the passion you have to help students out there, obviously you do the right thing. But somebody who has lay accounting knowledge and know how to teach well, he used his accounting knowledge. He didn't go for training. He didn't go for no teacher, training or so. He now
No, that
applied to a
that
school.
teacher
He
can.
applied. He
That's
applied to a
also
school
a
that
part.
offer him, basic accounting knowledge because
Right.
he feels that he can be able to, deliver. Then the school accepting. We are in a
Exactly.
vetting.
He can.
We
He
are in
can
a vetting. So at the end of the
definitely.
day, that man, if for some reason, he's not able to manage a class, you're not doing something different. So that is why we don't want to see in Liberia because why we were in the US, we see how the people education system run. Like I may mention, America, yeah, you can learn 3 ways. You can learn both on, off campus, on campus, and you can learn both. You know, they make it
Because
in a
the
way
system here
that
is
because they
set up
know
like
that a
that.
lot of people are into the workforce, people are working. So
The
that's
system
why
here is set up like that.
yeah, the system here
The
is
system over there
designed,
is not. It's
yeah,
probably
it
set up
designed
like
better.
that, but not
I'm not
everywhere.
trying, yeah, but Lou, I'm not trying to bring Liberia, America system to Liberia,
Right.
but we should be a country that emulate good things, right? We
Right.
want to see a good thing. So you can emulate good things. If you emulate good things, obviously you will see a change. You will see a better change. So if
Right.
you are joining the show, this is a Rahim show.
Right.
I'm
Right.
your host,
Right.
Rackie Allie, and I have Miss Smith in studio discussing. She's a pre-K teacher. She's sharing her let's say, perspective on the issue of transforming quality education in Liberia. So call that number and be part of the show, or you can hit the like button, share the podcast, make some comment, and I will highly appreciate it. Go ahead.
Right. Right. No, go ahead. You were talking. You said that
Okay.
the accounting. If you have an accountant, the accountant should be
No,
able to.
I was only trying to give you an example because
Okay.
this is what happened. Even when I was in Liberia, right? These are some
Mm-hmm.
of the things that used to happen, right? Uh, but we don't want, we are not saying that if you want to teach, you
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't teach, right? If you have the passion to teach, it is a good thing, and we are happy that you want to provide your knowledge, to the student out there. But this is what needs to be done. You need to go through the proper training, and
Mm-hmm.
also you need to have passion for what you do. If you don't have passion for what you do, you won't do it properly. you
Right.
know that is why I said in America, yeah, because of the things called dignity of labor. you
Mm-hmm.
know in America, yeah, everybody doing different job, but these jobs are highly respected. You can never, let's say, condemn somebody who is a custodian, because the person being a custodian, that person can do anything for himself.
Right. It's still a job. A job
So you
is
see,
a job.
and it's still a job, because why? You make money.
A job is a
So
job.
every job has a respect, yeah, in America. So you don't overlook somebody who is doing it. But the reason I'm saying this thing, because we want to see a better education system in Liberia, and we don't want to see the teachers, accepting bribe because he or she is underpaid, and look at your present condition and start to do a lot of things that will derail the education system in Liberia. So
Right.
let me listen to you. Yeah,
Right.
say
So
something.
I mean, like I said, the president just need to. We just need to have a good system. Once they have a system set up in place to where you hire the right people to teach, the qualified people to teach. Basically, that's what Liberia needs. And then we here can go back home and just help the country. Basically, that's what we need to do. Just go back home and help. If you have books, there's so many books. Let me tell you, going to school here, all the books I can take from the library is free. Like I can buy your books, keep your books, take it home and help the school. Create your own, make your own school to help the system. Basically, that's all I can say. If anybody else have anything else to add on, anybody can come and share. Basically, that's all we need. Just
Yeah, yeah.
a
I mean,
good
let's try to
president.
wrap up our show. We want to say we are excited that
Right.
someone were able to call and share the talk. We
Mm-hmm.
appreciate you for being part of the show. For our viewer out there, thank you for taking up your time to watch the podcast. We are very excited to see a better Liberia, and this
Right.
is what we are discussing. We don't want to, pick on any instructor. We love the instructor and the sacrifice that they are making, but we want to let you know that you, being an instructor, you have to have a passion for what you do. And then also, if you have a passion for what you do, you won't be able to accept bribe, because the idea of a bribe is also connected to the issue of corruption, because we don't want to see that eating of our society, because we want to see a better education system. So if you are joining the show, this is a
That's what I
Rahim
said. The
show.
bribing
I'm
just
your
go by
host, Ricky
the teacher, the
Ali.
all of them
There
being
is a
hungry.
number on the screen. Call that number and be a part of the show and share your perspective. My special guest is Miss Smith. She's a pre-K instructor here in the U.S. She shared her perspective,
Daycare
and she
instruct,
said,
daycare preschool teacher.
"Oh
Daycare,
yeah, yeah,
daycare.
daycare,
Yes,
daycare
yes. All we need,
preschool instructor." Yeah,
we
so
just
she
go
just
back
shared
home and help the
her
kids.
perspective,
Yeah,
and we are excited to have a show. We are talking about how do we transform our education system in Liberia. We want to see a vibrant education system. I've been a graduate from Liberia up to a college. I have seen so much, so I know what I'm talking about, and I
right.
want to see that change because myself here have gone to college in the U.S. I've seen it different, and it's not like because Liberia is far away from U.S., but it's something that we can emulate good quality
I have
to
a
help
question.
our education system improve. Go ahead.
So I'll ask you, what can you do too to help Liberia system? What can you do? Being
Okay.
that being that you went to school in Liberia, right? You graduated there, right? And you know how the system works. But it's totally different now, right? But how can you go back home to help too with the little experience that you have here and there? How can you help? How can you help the system?
Okay. One of the way I think we can help Liberia, right?
Mhm,
Like we we have discussed during our time on the podcast, right?
mhm,
One of the ways we can help Liberia
mhm,
is to train the teachers.
mhm,
Training teachers helps. You
mhm,
have to put in place a training mechanism that will make the teacher to know what they have taken the responsibility to do. You
mhm,
you are an instructor, right?
mhm.
I guess you were not just you did not just say, oh yeah, because I want to teach let's say a
No,
daycare school.
because
You
I
have to go
love
through
children.
you got to go through a training, right? And
Right.
that training,
And what mine started because I love kids. So being that I love kids, I said, oh my God, I want to be able to teach because
yeah,
of my teacher. My
yeah.
teacher inspired me to become a teacher. My
Okay,
teacher
that's
here.
good.
Right,
That's why,
right,
yeah, that's why I said we can also use success story because
right.
of your story, and the experience you had. Because when you came to the U.S., due to that language barrier, you
Hmm.
know, you had an instructor who still remained patient because her goal was to make sure that one of the child, the student can speak good English, or can speak good English. Or my goal here is I'm an instructor for everyone.
Right,
I
right,
got to make
right.
sure that she learn English and learn it to the best of her ability. So this is what I'm saying. If I were in
Hmm.
the capacity to do things in Liberia, I would rather see that most of the instructor and most of the teacher,
Hmm.
whether in public school or in private school, there should be a partnership with the government to be able to establish a training mechanism that most of the teacher will be well trained and then well told about the reason why they are taking up this particular responsibility to be a teacher, because more people don't know their responsibility. They will know about paper, but if they inherit that particular responsibility, they will be careful not to do the wrong thing, because why? They already know that it's part of their life, that they have passion, and they know what they are doing. It is a day-to-day job, and they want to do it right. So
Hmm.
they inherit that. So I would want to see things that happen in Liberia, so we can have that training in place. And
Hmm.
more to that is I want to see uh, new like the caller mentioned that that's just a training center.
Hmm.
That training center should be in place where if a student is finding it difficult, they are able to go to that training center.
Hmm.
Where for instance, if we're having problem in math and English, someone is at that training center are able to help them in the subject matter and be able
Hmm.
to guide them and be able to coach them and help them, because the goal here is, if somebody is educated, if
Hmm.
you have, take for instance, let's go on an aggregate level, right? If you have more than, let's say, 6 to 5,000 people have a PhD degree in Liberia, and they decide, say, oh yeah, we have acquired PhD. Somebody, they are medical doctor, somebody, and they go to Liberia to contribute to our society.
Hmm.
Isn't there a plus for the country? You have all the educated
Big
people. It's a
time.
plus.
Yeah,
So
very
that's what we
good.
want to see. Because why? If you look at some African country, the Nigerian, when they are here, the man will have his PhD and go back. Like one of the men who were teaching me, he was teaching me networking.
Hmm.
Networking. That man is from Ghana. He works at John Hopkins. He works
Mm-hmm.
in the lab area, and at the same time, he's a professor at University of Maryland Global Campus. He's teach networking. So that man goes home. Sometimes he will tell me, "Oh man, I'm not here now. I'm home." He will go
Mm-hmm.
home and do a lot of things. You see, I even trying to teach, online, because most of the African countries are not introducing what we call online courses where you can
Right.
get, you can be. So we want to see this thing happening in Liberia so that we can have a better, education system, not
Right.
just for just few people,
We
but for the entire country. So that. These are some of the things that we tackle and be able to, employ in our country.
But in the country. Okay, it's true. And then also I just feel like people just feel they just feel kind of like scared, and they believe that okay, if I try to go and do this, I won't have support. I think that's what a lot of people not going back home to really help the country, because a lot of people be like, man, if I want to go back home, I want to do something, but if I go back home, nah, it's
Let
not
me
gonna work out. People have that
let me tell you
doubt.
one of the reason. Let me tell you one of the reason why some people are afraid to go back home.
Right,
One
right.
of the things here is, you see, this is not to say anything bad of my country. I want to see a better Liberia, and I know
Mhm.
Liberia is fine.
Right,
I'm very much optimistic that Liberia is fine. You know,
right.
uh, it's not something to scare our investors. So, but one of the reasons is, take for instance, if I like to use myself as a practical example, if
Right.
I'm making like $4,000 or $5,000 here every month, mhm,
Mhm.
and I wanted to go back home in Liberia, I won't
Mhm.
be able to make that money. All depend, maybe it depend on the job that I want. Take for instance, maybe let leave government job out, because it's not
Right.
something that I don't want government job. I just want to see a better Liberia, because
Exactly.
I'm a businessman. I love to do business, and I love to
Right.
see a better.
That's what you need to
So
be. Mhm.
if I find a joy in Liberia, I won't make $5,000 a month. You see, I
Mhm.
won't make that money. But the reason I'm going back is to make sacrifice, right? I
Exactly.
will accept like 500 or 600, but then I look at the living condition in Liberia. All of those things, people taking into consideration these different contingencies. That because you want to get back home and have something, a stable life.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
want to feel
Mhm.
protected. You want to feel safe. The fact that you're living $5,000 in America in a stable country, which things can happen in America. A lot of things happen.
Yeah,
Sometimes
they have
things go
more.
wrong,
They have people
but
who
you
right.
can't leave. You can't leave. You see, so sometimes people are not, they are principle minded. It doesn't mean that they don't want to contribute to the society, but they are principle minded in a way that they don't want to, leave, and then they are not being, protected or so, because a lot of
Right.
times people
A
go to
lot of things
Liberia,
going on.
and
That's what
then,
I'm saying.
sometimes things go wrong. And like one of my friend of mine, he went to Liberia. He's supported the Unity Party. He went to
Mhm.
Liberia. He got very ill,
Oh
very ill.
man.
He got so ill until he said, "My man, I almost died." He had running stomach, everything, all the things. Uh, if you have that kind of experience, you go back home. You were in the hospital. You
You would
almost
be
at the point of death, and
right.
you come back home. You will be scared.
You'd be
So
so
all the
afraid
things,
to go back.
and
Yeah.
all the things. I'm not saying this to say that if you plan to go back Liberia, if you're watching the show, it's a beautiful country. We all love our
No,
country.
I mean everywhere have the pros and cons.
Uh, you
Everywhere
know,
have the
yeah.
good and bad. You
But
know?
excuse. But these are things that that make some people scared, and don't, when they have a career path here, they don't want to go there, and contribute to the society, because life safety is one of the most important things. People want,
Right.
to have an environment where they feel safe and feel comfort, and they feel protected or so. So that's why. But I'm not saying like, bro, it's not an environment that is safe. All of this government, and even previous government had tried. So
Mhm.
we are saying that if you are joining the show, we are talking about transforming the education system in Liberia. How do we do better in our education system so that we can be compared to other nations that are moving ahead? So that's what we are discussing. If you are joining the show, call that number and share your perspective on the show. I have my let's see,
No,
uh,
no,
uh,
Lulu.
daycare daycare instructor who is my guest today. She have
Your
shared her
house is
perspective.
pay
She's a
all of that.
Liberian like myself. She know the whole thing about taking care of a student, so she been part of the show, and she spoke brilliantly, especially my caller. So call the number, and let's have a fruitful
For
discussion
you
as we
guys,
talk about
if you
these
have,
things
yeah,
that will impact our country.
right, right.
So let wrap up the show. Let wrap up the
Okay,
show because I
okay.
think we had a great time here, and want to thank people out there for making their comment, for sharing the podcast, for being part of the show. And I
Yeah.
just want to tell my viewer out there, the Rahim Show is a Liberian show. We are here to help and see a better Liberia. You just like I wanted you to share your parting statement, but you just like uh, my guest. But however, if you're able to come by, you can come by and share your parting statement. But if you're watching the show, this is the Rahi Show. I'm your host, Rackie Allie. And the show is just to help our nation. We just want to see a change in Liberia. We want to engage and see a better Liberia. That's that is the purpose of this show. She's back. Let me see what I can.
And I
Uh,
think I made a mistake. I hit the wrong
yeah,
button.
you did. You did. I wanted before I conclude for
I
you to share your
don't.
parting statement, and then also I wanted to ask you what would be your advice. You are a young pretty lady, right? What would be your
Thank
advice to,
you.
let's say, younger lady who are coming out today? What is your message to them? So let me listen to you. What
Well,
advice can you give younger girls in Liberia or even around the world, or those who are watching?
I mean, all I can say is being from my own point of view, this is what I like I said, we all should just put together, we should just get together. Be there women of power. For example, I'm gonna I love Oprah. Oprah Winfrey is one of my favorite. She's one of my 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 favorite. I will like exactly. I look up to her. Whatever Oprah did, I would love if God can bless me to have that money to go back home and help these little kids in Liberia open a school. That's my vision right there. That's one thing I would do. If I can have any girls, any of my friends who want to support, who have that mindset of going back home and just trying to change, because there's so many little kids in Liberia that just want to go to school, but they can't go to school because they are hungry. They are on the streets. If we can just have a group of girls to just come up with that idea to just say, you know what, let's go. We don't have to wait for the president, we don't have to wait for the government to do that. We can just put together and just go back home and just help the little kids. Just build our own little school. It don't have to be a school. It can be like a little education center, like Linda said. If we can just have that, and we can train ourselves. If we don't have people to, like the right school system for the teacher to, be able to help them, we can teach ourselves. We can teach ourselves to be able to teach the little kids. All the little kids need is book, food, and clothes, and a place to sleep. If we can put together and do that, we can help Liberia. That's all I can say. If anybody want to support me, anybody want to be part of it, Rahim, if you want us to come back, if you want me to come back on your show and keep on doing this and keep on encouraging girls to come on, I need help. We all need help. That's that. I need help. I need girls to come on the show, or I need call Rahim, call me. We can put together, and we can go back home to help change the education system. That's all I can say. Because I'm willing to go. I'm willing to go back home. I want to take my nieces and nephew home. I want them to have a little place play center to where I can leave there and go do my little walker ball. While I'm to my walker ball, they can be in a little center. They're reading. Reading is what I swear.
So
Reading is so important.
our viewer want to know what you call walk up ball because we have American and we
Nigeria.
have
I'm
people
thinking, okay,
watching.
to
So
go in
can
the
you tell
streets,
our
to
people
be
what you call walk up
outside,
ball?
to go hang out, to be in the streets, to go outside, to go, go to club, go to not like club,
Like great people.
go. So like, just go out, just go chill, go see family. You have a center where you can leave the kids there. They can be playing their games. They can be, reading books. They can be on the iPad, the laptops. They can be doing things that are gonna help them, educate them. So that's what we need. If we can have group of girls to come together, like I said, Linda is one of my friends. I'm pushing her. I'm like, Linda, we gotta do this. We gotta go there. So if we can have that, that's one thing I would do. I would encourage my sisters to, come on board, to go back home, to build Liberia and just help the little kids off the street. That's one thing. That's what I would say. And Linda, well, I think Linda want to say something too. She's here. I brought her with
All right,
me.
Lena, go ahead. Go ahead, Lena.
Linda also she would like to give a little input on
Okay,
how she
Lena.
can also help. Well,
Yeah,
the school
Lena, go ahead.
system.
Go ahead. How are you, Linda? Thank you
Hi,
for watching
Riley.
and thank you for being part of the show. Share
She
your
came
perspective
through.
on the
She
topic.
came through.
Thank you, thank you. Well, viewers, I'm in my PJs. The home is already late.
Hmm.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
My advice to young ladies in Liberia is, I think they have to be patient sometimes too. You have to be patient. It's not all is money, and people can say not all that glitter is gold.
Right.
Sometimes the girls to push teachers to do things out of the way. So all my advice to you is that you are a woman and you are a strong person. All you have to do, learn, because if you learn today, you are learning for yourself. You are learning for your unborn child and be a better person for tomorrow future.
Right.
So you got to pick your head up, push yourself. Even though I know Liberia is high, just from Liberia I went there August, and I see how it's high. What I noticed again in Liberia when I went, the sex drive is so hard. Like everybody want to lay down. Every little girl want to lay down.
Yeah, because
in
they don't have
Liberia.
they don't have it.
I know.
They don't have
I
the
just want to say that don't mind, don't. I know you don't have it. I know it's hard, but not everything will be sex, sex, sex. Sometimes we push these men to do things to us. So little girls, women, young girls, you all just keep your head up
encourage
high.
each other.
We know help is on the way. We need to learn for tomorrow for our kids and everybody. Like I said, I'm the color I call first. And we need to put things together, places like learning center, and make sure we get teachers, train them so that they'll be able to train our kids for tomorrow future.
Right.
Because if we don't train these teachers, they won't be able to train other people.
Right.
So we need to have a good teacher. We need to have a good system put in place. That
Right.
way, everything will be good.
Right.
Because when we get a good foundation,
Right.
everything will be right and people will follow suit. So my little advice to them to just
We should
you
go
know
together.
yeah, we should get together as Liberians, hold together to make our school system a good place to be, and have good teachers on board to help our babies that's coming up. That's all I have to say.
Thank you very much for that. I
Yeah.
appreciate your call earlier and also for sharing that powerful thing about
Thank you.
how we can help our country.
Yeah.
But before you go, I'd like to say there were things that Smith and Miss Smith mentioned about like she have a passion. She want to help the younger people in Liberia.
We can't
Uh,
hear you.
you not hearing me?
No, it's his phone.
I'm hearing you. You hearing me?
Okay. Yeah. No, it's not
Okay.
my phone. Remember he hit
Okay.
it the
I
last
think
time.
I think it happened when your phone. Yeah, it's not my phone. So I appreciate you both coming on on the show tonight and
Thank
sharing
you.
your thought. And like both of you have said, right, we need a training center. And then Miss Smith is saying that she have a passion. She want to help the younger children because she has heard that they go without food. So many are in the street, which is something that we don't want to see happening. Because for me, I'm a father of three, and my kids go to school here. They wear good clothes. They eat every day. To see a child, in the street, not having food to eat, not even being in school, selling, late small things just to make end means for their family. It's not something good we want to see. We want to see
Mm-hmm.
a Liberia where the kids are in school because the next educated kids, who know, could be the next president. We now learn that an African man became the president of the United States of America, Barack
Right,
Obama. So you never
right.
know. An educated
Even your
child from
kid,
Liberia, yeah,
your kid from here can go to
yeah,
Liberia.
an educated child from Liberia could be a next president in Europe or anywhere. He can go somewhere
Hmm.
and get naturalized and learn well and
Hmm.
become, somebody great. So I
Right.
appreciate the time you guys have spent on the show, and most highly welcome you all to come anytime when I'm, having this kind of discussion. I appreciate your presence, and I look forward to having you guys. Thank you for spending the time with me,
Thank you for
and
having
have a
us.
good night.
Have a
Thank
good
you,
night.
Rahim. Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Bye.
Good
Bye.
night.
Thank you. Yeah. Good night.
Bye.
Yeah. So, folks, that was it from my guest. I think if you're following the show, we had a great discussion on how we can help our Liberian education system. It is very important. We want to see a change in our education system. We have seen so many things that, like most of my caller and even my guests mentioned, some of the things we want to see in Liberia is the issue of early childhood education, improve education system, and have a training center where when people are finding it difficult in school, they are able to go to have help. So if you're watching the podcast, this is the Rahim Show. I'm your host, Rackie Allie. There is a number on the screen. We are about to wrap our show, but if you feel that you want to share something, call that number and be part of the show. And we will highly appreciate your time. And to our viewer there, like the podcast, uh, share the podcast, and also comment. We will all also appreciate it. If you want to come live and be a part of this show, the Rahim Show is actually a Liberian owned show, and we are here to make sure that we see the right thing happen in our country, the right thing happen in society. This is the main goal of this platform. We want to share messages, share things that will help our society to make it a better place for all, for all, for all. So thanks for watching. Until then, I see you another day.